Hi guys, it's Heather, Petal Pink Flower Farm. Today we're getting our first dahlia tubers in the ground. I'm very excited. I'm right on schedule. This is unusual for me. We try, like people say around this area, Pacific Northwest, Willamette Valley of Oregon, Zone 8B, like the general time that you should be getting your dahlia tubers in the ground is Mother's Day. There's no way we will ever be planting dahlias on Mother's Day week. It's way too crazy with flower orders. So I shoot for the week after Mother's Day, and that is this weekend. So we've spent the last 2 to 3 weeks prepping the field, and I'll kind of show you a little bit of that process later in this video. But right now I'm out in my shop, and this is the uninsulated side of the shop where we keep our tubers most of the year. All of our tubers are in these plastic bins, and they have peat moss in them. And I put them on these metal rolling racks. We got these from a restaurant supply store. And the thing that I love about these rolling racks is they live in this shop, which is uninsulated. And for most of the winter, it's actually the perfect temperature, the perfect humidity, but it does freeze sometimes. Actually, it does freeze a lot in the winter around here. So we're able to just roll these entire racks next door into the shop, which is insulated. I cannot leave these tubers in that shop all winter long because that's like where my kids play basketball and everyone hangs out. So I like to keep them over in this shop, which is uninsulated. So being on the wheels on these big racks that we can really easily push back and forth between the two shops has been like really awesome. I'm going to start going through and pulling out the tubers that I want to plant. I just think one row at a time. We plant a total of 7 rows every year. I'm not one of these like people who's gone all in on dahlias. I like dahlias. They're so labor intensive that I don't love them. So I grow mostly for cut flower sales, and I've kind of just held myself and our farm at 7 rows. And so far, that's like a good number for me. I'm not planting tens of thousands of tubers. We're still planting thousands of tubers, but it's like a much more manageable number for me when you add in all the other crops that we like to grow for our customers. So I grow in rows, which I plant by color. I think maybe everyone does that. It's easier for us because we basically take orders by color and we harvest by color. So I plant by color, and I have this kind of ongoing spreadsheet which I keep track of throughout like the whole year, but mostly this gets created when we divide our tubers, and everything is organized by color. So you can see I've got the white section, the blush section, and on. And that's kind of how I think about mine in categories of color. And I have everything written down here, how many tubers we have of each variety and how many I want to plant, because I know how many tubers fit in each row. All right, so here's kind of what I do. I'm starting with whites, and I'm just going down the list of the varieties. I will say there are a lot of these that I'm not bringing back. I really aggressively eliminated varieties this year. I am only gonna be growing things that I know are very productive. I can't be growing stuff because it's beautiful, but only makes, 5 blooms per plant. So I really aggressively went through, and you can see like down here how many I'm planting. There's quite a few that I'm not planting any of. So anyhow, here I am in my white color family, and I'm just gonna go down here and pull the ones that I'm planting. All right, so I'm sorting out the bridezilla tubers. We don't have a ton because we left most of them in the ground. And you can see these stored decently. They're a little shriveled up, but can you see the little new growth right there? So I know that that's gonna grow. That's always a good sign. They don't always all look like that. Bridezilla is a really easy one to store. This is growing. Obviously, this broke off. It doesn't matter. It's gonna grow back, okay? So that didn't kill my tuber. It's just gonna keep growing from that eye. I know it's alive. And I think I have about 9 of these. I don't have a ton, but there's another one. So that's my bridezilla. I have 9. I'm gonna write 9 on my tag, put it in the bag, and this will go out to the field for planting. Okay, so I've sorted through all of my blush varieties and my white varieties. They're in crates. I'm gonna haul them out to the field, and we're gonna start putting these guys in the ground. I'm out here in the field. We spent the last several weeks prepping this. I'll kind of show you all the stuff that we did real quick to show you how we got to this point. A couple months ago, I took a soil test of this dahlia field, and then I covered the entire area with a silage tarp so that it would kill off the vegetation. And then we got the soil test results back, pulled off the silage tarp, and I spread all the amendments that the soil test showed me that the soil needed. Then we added some compost to the area, and Brett went through with our tractor and tilled everything in the hopes that this soil is going to be perfect for our dahlia crop. Okay, so the soil is ready to go. We'll end up putting there will be 5 rows in this tilled up section, and you can kind of see that we have 2 rows that we left in the ground. So those are already going. I mean, they're actually looking pretty great already. And I'm gonna start on this side of the field with the tubers that I just finished sorting out and put in my first row. Here, I'm doing it a little differently than we've done in years past. In years past, we actually ran an irrigation trencher through here and made these deep trenches that we put the tubers in. And I decided to stop doing that for 2 reasons. Number one, it would take so long to pull the trencher through because the dirt is very loose and there's like very little grip for the wheels. So whoever was trenching, which was either my husband or my son, it was just like a nightmare for them. And it would take so long just to get one trench. Then secondly, running that big heavy piece of equipment through was really squishing down the dirt. And I don't like to squish down the dirt if I don't have to. So this year I'm doing it by hand, and I think it's going to be just as much effort as dragging that trencher through for every trench. We're just going to dig it by hand. Okay, this is like literally the easiest part of the whole thing. I'm finally planting, and you can see I've got a string line down because it's impossible for me to keep things in a straight line. And then I've got my tape measure, and I'm planting, this is also different this year, every 10 inches. In the past, we've done 12 inches. I'm going for 10. I can fit a lot more tubers in my area if I shorten that spacing by 2 inches, and I still think that's going to give me plenty of room. So all I'm doing is I'm going down the line every 10 inches, making a hole, and then just sticking my tubers in. They're probably going about 6 inches deep. I used to plant deeper, and all that did was it made it impossible when it was time to dig the tubers out of the ground. So 6 inches is plenty deep. And it's going pretty fast. I feel pretty good about it. All right, so this is a little bit difficult to tell, but every row that I do is actually 2 rows of tubers. So I just went through and planted right along here, and then there's 1 foot between that row of tubers and the next row, which I have marked with a string line to stay straight. So this section that doesn't have any landscape fabric will be 2 feet wide, and then we'll put a strip of landscape fabric next to it for a pathway, and then we'll do it again all the way down, and we'll end up putting in 5 of those rows. Okay, so that row is in, and it was easy. Like, I'm really glad we didn't use the trencher this year. That was overkill. The last few years, this was very easy to just dig the hole with a shovel and stick the tuber in. So that felt like it went faster. I loved it. And now I'm on to my least favorite part, which is putting this landscape fabric down. I just really always put it down totally squirrely. I don't know why. I don't know. I can't put stuff down straight, so I left my string line there. So I'm going to put this down, and that will be the pathway so that we can start the next row. So that's 1 row completely done. I'm not going to add any irrigation to this row until we see sprouts up above the ground a couple inches tall. We get rain, we get quite a bit of rain, and it's actually supposed to rain tonight, but we have really well draining soil, so it keeps the soil moist. Stuff doesn't tend to rot, but it definitely does not need like any additional irrigation. So I'll put the drip tape up probably in a few weeks, and in the meantime we'll continue planting, do the same process for every row. And we just kind of, every week, we walk through all of the beds that have been planted with the hula hoe and make sure the weeds don't get going too bad. My goal is to have this entire field planted this week, next week, whatever. It's Saturday today. By next Saturday, all of these will be planted, and then it's amazing in a few months what this is going to look like. It'll be like a dahlia wonderland. So follow along if you want to see what it's going to look like in a few months. It's going to be amazing.